Well, hello everybody. It's just unreal, unbelievable where we are today. World events, world politics. Here's the breakdown by the numbers. Justin Trudeau and his entire first-class fellow politicians grow beyond inflationary measures, see the biggest raises in the last 2 years. Well, the majority of Canadians feel the burn of pure sanctions. It is you, Canadians, you who must pay the brunt of all of what's happening out in the world today. The Western oligarchs need to fill their pockets up. They need to have the big, strong wealth additions, including that is all your politicians. Well, all of you see your standard of living go down by 50%. And people say, oh no, Dave, that's not true. Oh yes, it is. Energy is everything. Every energy defines you as first world, second world, or third world. Those with energy, the abundance of, are doing the best. You see homes, food, clothing, shelter, all of that narrative, the absolutes you need to survive, go beyond all measure in Canada. It is you, the people of Canada, the everyday citizens who feel the brunt of European and Western sanctions on Russia. Not the Russian citizens. They're largely held immune. Besides aviation and that industry, but now new looks elsewhere out in the world, you see Russia, all their leased planes are safely held within their borders. Over $12 billion in foreign aircrafts are safely with Putin. Meaning tough titty leaseholders. And who must pay for the cost of the sanctions? Well, it's you, Canadians. Russian oligarchs, some of them worth between $3 to over $30 billion, all getting beaten down, liquidated, running unbelievable amounts of losses, just like all the regular Joe Jane Canadians. Russia doesn't put it back on the people, which is what the West had counted for. Putin planned this many, many years in advance. The people of Russia will not see the sanctions that all Canadians are. You must pay for the sanctions imposed by the UK. Your royal blood, your gods over you, written in your constitution, it is the colonies' citizens who must pay for all actions by Joe Biden and one Boris Johnson. You Canadians, largest in the entire world, largest portion of payers in the entire Commonwealth countries. You have unbelievable gas prices with the third largest reserves in the world today. But you're not allowed to trade east and west. No, no, no. It's north and south. It goes on a supply chain controlled by the royal family. Bought and paid for by one sacrifice by Joe Biden, a corrupt American president. Betraying all the American people, but largely American people across the board are not paying. Not entirely, not everybody. Canadians bear the brunt. That brunt much more than any American. We get all the costs. That is the customary Crown law and the absolute dysfunction of what is Canada. The real losers, everybody, worldwide, are Canadian Joe Jane taxpayers. It is you, the average Joe Janes, who pay largely more than everybody else. Don't listen to the baloney propaganda measuring in American dollars, because I can promise you this. Canada is the only country in the world trading with USA at nearly 90% of everything. We pay for all the imposed sanctions. The money's taken out of you. This is not the same for Russian citizens. That's propaganda lie. Russia has never and does not trade in American dollars only on international trade. A lot of people don't understand these concepts. Canada runs in American dollar. All our oil, many of our products, because we utilize the American supply chain almost entirely. Almost exclusively and entirely. We don't do it for ourselves. That's why we get discounts. That's why we're constantly at a state of flux, and you can't predict anything, and the goalposts change all the time. We have no sovereignty. We gave it away many decades ago. In fact, since 1867. Read the preamble of your Constitution. Canadians will pay till all the blood is bled out of your bodies. Mass poverty, mass housing crisis, mass all of it. Things are never going to be the same going forward. All your politicians, Justin Trudeau takes 10% since the start of the pandemic. His wages now go up a full 10%. Never mind all his kickbacks from all his special interest oligarchs, European, Western from the USA, all of it. A bought and paid for criminal that any other country would have him in prison. And not just him, all of our politicians, everyone you've elected, because they love to thieve, rape, cheat, lie, steal, and take everything you got. A lot of changes in housing. I'm learning it myself too. Canada won't let their slaves go. They will try to liquidate you. They will try to take everything you have. That's your government. The government's never been the citizen's friend in Canada. Because I'm going to tell you all again, Canadians, you're not in the Constitution of Canada. Read the preamble, 1867. You're not there. The Charter is an embedment 2/3 of the way in, after we've established throughout the bulk of the Constitution how you're all worth nothing and you're subject to whatever your glorious lords of men, gods of men, women, lords, worships of men. You're to treat these people as though God himself had created them just for you. They're above you. They're gods of you. That's what your Canadian Constitution says. That's where Canada is today. Exactly like Nazi Germany was, but is no more. We still exist that exact same way. Russia constantly refers to Nazification. The reality is it's crown customary law being utilized in a unitary system. That's the conversion they're trying to do with Ukraine. They've already got their boy band actor President Zelensky running off at the mouth, Instagram, playing the role for all the media, and the UN has already sanctioned the use of the word war, the use of the word invasion. You can read all this. Zelensky playing tough guy, wearing his military garbs. I promise you, the man has never been on the front lines. He probably can't even fire a weapon in under 25 yards to hit a real target. I bet she's never done that in his life. He's a pathetic joke. The whole of Ukraine is like that, largely a craft created by a corrupt president of the past, George H. Bush. We see now Joe Biden and his family, strong ties and massive corruption, leading the charge here at absolutely the number one expense in the world. The number one sufferer of sanctions is now officially Canada and Germany. All the citizens of Germany and all the citizens of Canada are the number one sufferers, because you got to pay for what Europe needs. The Commonwealth portion of Europe needs all of your money, Canada. You've got to bear the brunt of the costs of what rich, wealthy pieces of shit who are worth way more than you have already afforded themselves raises, so there is no such thing for them. Only for you. You are going to watch world trillionaires pop up in the United States of America and possibly Europe in the next few years. Very quickly, you're going to see your first world trillionaires. To fathom how much money that is for one individual can't be compared and said, unless you go back to a time of absolute slavery where might was right, pre-League of Nations stuff. People who owned entire armies themselves, kings, queens, self-appointed gods over men and women. That's what we support. That's what we finance. You will see that the Russian citizens at large do not experience this. Vladimir Putin sacrificed all of the wealthiest Russians first. They go first. The people are largely shielded. There will not be any massive protests. People talking about arrests in Russia. Have you ever seen the population of Russia? To talk about 13,000, if that's accurate, really doesn't matter. Canadians, how many people are at the Freedom Convoy in a population of 38 million? Do the math. Look how many Canadians were arrested in that. Look at that. Whether you believe it or not, it's not the issue. It's the fact that in the name of national security, economic terrorism was the excuse of Justin Trudeau. The Emergency Measures Act, which is the War Measures Act. Let's not sugarcoat and bullshit like the paid media does. That is reality. That is the truth. When you compare the mighty population of Russia to that of Canada, Justin Trudeau did exactly what Vladimir Putin's doing over protesters for war. And it's a fringe minority movement, just like Canada. It's okay for the tyrant Justin Trudeau. He's really good. His oligarchs, his foreign oligarchs are well protected and shielded. He sees a 10% raise coming at the end of the month, while all of you see not a dollar more, but pay twice as much just to make a living, just to heat your home. You talk about genocidal maniacs. Who's the real maniac? Who loves you, Canadians? I can tell you. Unless you're talking about your mother, father, brothers, sisters, uncles, aunts, children, it's not the politicians of Canada. They absolutely will put you out. First in line as we see Canada move their troops, first in line ready to fight Russia. They'll all be wasted, murdered should that happen. But already, as I stated, the P5 is not going there. All of what Justin Trudeau's done, all of what he's committed you Canadians out there to pay for now, to be sanctioned for the benefit of wealthy oligarchs in Europe, in the United States, here in Canada, absolutely at all your expense, to make sure that we create the next round of trillionaires. The world is mightily broken. It's led by an NWO rogue regime inside the UN, mostly unitary states and absolutely all crown colonials. Russia, USA, China, King George VI out of UK of the time of Winston Churchill, and absolutely of France, agreed to terminate all of it. It never happened. Not for key groups being led by Canada first and foremost, Australia, then New Zealand, and another 49, all perpetuated to keep that royal family in power, to regrow it, so to speak. Monumental changes in the 80s, then the 90s, we get into this Green New Deal. By the time we hit 2012, end of the world by the Mayan calendar, some said. Well, you know what? When you look at the power distribution transfer in international control of your country, in international narrative to the royal family, it sure looks like that today. When I look back at 2012, I see clearly that's when the royal family took control officially of the Commonwealth, against everything the UN stands for and represents. If any of you haven't watched History Channel, they released World War I, the Colonial War I. I can't wait for Colonial War II. Everything I've talked about, all my great works, and all the American academics has now cut a professional video by the History Channel, backing up everything I've ever told all of you. I published that earlier today. It's been a monumental busy day for me. I'm sorry I haven't got back to comments, but it's going to be like this all the way through to the end of the month. I'll try to get to people as I can, but a lot to do, a lot going on, and it's dangerous, highly dangerous, as you find that is your country that's sitting top shelf of the NWO. It's us who's the bad guy. And if you don't feel it yet, Canadians, I don't know what to tell you, besides Germans because of a corrupt chancellor who's breaching the Constitution of Germany. Breaching it. The power of the people. What's best for the people. That's not what's best for the people. Multiplying your cost of living by anywhere from 2 to 4 times the amount. No one can survive that, not as any real first world country. And it is the exact same thing there that is happening here right in Canada. We live in the West. We're on a different continent. How is it, being the world's third largest holder of those reserves, why is it the Russian people are seeing tremendously cheaper costs, but yet we, all the Canadians, are taking the brunt of all the sanctions? The reason why, legally, none of you mean nothing. You are officially worthless in this world and all comparative constitutions worldwide. You, the Canadian people, mean nothing. The first people are less than nothing. They're to be eradicated. That's been the story of Canada entirely. And Canada wants you all slaves. You will own nothing. You will be happy being beat, raped, abused by the first class. This has always been the narrative, and it only gets stronger and stronger and stronger. It's been growing since absolutely 1952. We had a brief reprieve from 1945 to 1952, and little by little, they keep chipping away. It's past the point of no return in Canada, folks. It's that bad. Politicians enjoying all the great rewards directly and in the back scenes with all of their oligarchs, well taken care of for the rest of their lives, while your lives are absolutely devastated and decimated. Do you enjoy the conflict in Europe? Last time I checked, I'm not a member of the European Union. Why are we accepting sanctions that make absolutely no sense? Why are we not running our products east and west across the country? Why is it only north and south? It's because of your constitution. It's because there are no rules of governance, no rules on how to govern, and absolutely zero accountability. You're just slaves, the third-class slave. The second-class merchant is only as strong as you are to enrich the first-class citizens. If you don't do that, again, there's not enough lifeboats for everybody. You watched in the pandemic as they decimated all the domestic businesses that were in the way of the wealth generation of their wealthy oligarch friends, creating monopolies and oligarchies, trying to produce Age of Empire style wealth for individuals. People with so much money, it must be made unlawful because it is socialism. You can never, ever compete with that. And when there's no competitors and you're in the monopoly, please tell me, everybody, how is that any different than a purely government-run state? You are subject to whatever the dictator says. In your case, it's wealthy oligarchs. There is no difference. You go too far to the right, you find the left. You go too far to the left, you find the extreme right. Everything they've tried to divide you on is exactly what the government is. Canadians, explain it to me. Why are you, with the third largest reserves in the world, paying European sanction prices to fund what? To fund what? There's no war in Ukraine. It's been mandated by the United States of America. You're not allowed to say that word. You're not allowed to say invasion. That's the corrupt media doing that. Politicians doing that. But you know what the American military says? Don't say that word. It's why Americans are not invading Russian airspace or Ukrainian-Russian disputed airspace. A river runs through it. It's not going to happen. USA already knows everything I'm telling you, even the American military. The president is falling apart. Everything's a lie. And it's just a way to steal all of your wealth. Reduce your standard of living seismically, radically, and with the blunt instrument force of a great sledgehammer. Smells like communism. A lot of you say, oh, it's like the Soviet Union communism. Again, it's not, everybody. It's crown. It's written, it's detailed, it's called the Constitutional Act of Canada, 1867-1982, consolidated with your piddly charter embedded in the Section B, a small, tiny portion that, for 2/3 of the Constitution, tells you how they get to interpret that any way they want. And at the conclusion, after the charter, they tell you, oh, by the way, they can remove it at will any time they deem necessary. They can accuse Putin of all of these things. Oh, look, he arrested people. Oh, in the name of national security. And Canadians scratching their head, but isn't that exactly what Justin Trudeau just did? And if I take an X multiplier per person per capita, just in the convoy, everybody, just in the convoy alone, when you do the X multiplier, you see an incredibly similar arrest rate. Detentions. Do you really believe that your crown dictator, Justin Trudeau, is any better than Vladimir Putin? The reality is he's worse. Vladimir Putin's oligarchs are the ones getting hit with all the sanctions, not the Russian people. Putin at least loves his people enough to have planned to shield them from all of it. Who didn't get shielded? All you Canadians, all you working Joe Jane, low-life degenerate, third-class citizens, and absolutely all the Canadian Indians, who, by government standards, are savages. I say all this, Canadians and First Peoples, again, it's not because I'm racist. This is what you find in historical precedent and absolutely in all history of Canadian law. I didn't write it, I wasn't alive then, and I'm definitely not involved in any legislation since then, which continues on the same path. You all know it's true. Search your soul. Why are Canadians being sanctioned? Why? All of us are to pay the bills for a foreign country because in the name of a lie, you're told to believe that this is an invasion, this is war, but all of the UN is telling you, you do not use the term war, you do not use the term invasion. This is territorial dispute of a UNSCP 5 member. Yalta Conference. You can't take anything that was Russia's. You can't take anything that was historically China's. You can't take anything that's historically the United 50 States of America. You can't do that in any country. But yet a president in 1991 named George H. Bush made a deal with Ukraine and expanded the country over into overlap of Poland and other, all the way down to Romania. It goes on and on. You look at the historical boundaries of what is the real Ukraine, Belarus, and absolutely Russia, you will find that was never Ukraine. How did it get that way? What's going on here? Why are 70% of the citizens from that river over all Russian-speaking in majority? Why are they all Orthodox Russian? See the game here, folks? This can't be dismissed anymore. The Minsk agreements, which were way better than what we're seeing now, told Ukraine, in absolute majority, all 15 of the United Nations Security Council said, President Zelensky, follow Minsk. That meant give regionalism, just like USA has regionalism. Canada has a very extremely limited regionalism, an illusion of one, but a regionalism with an autocrat premier who gets to do whatever they want. But at least it's there. Imagine not having any. Imagine for a province like Quebec or the Acadians of New Brunswick and Nova Scotia being told that French is outlawed. In fact, your version of Catholicism is outlawed. We're going to impose our own religion, our own customs, and they're all going to be decided in Vancouver. Vancouver is going to be the new central state. That's exactly what happened in Ukraine post George H. Bush. It's been talked about, it's been ironed out, everybody agreed to it, voted on it, the whole world did, all of Europe absolutely did. We all agreed to it, nobody said no problem. Years go by and here we are in massive conflict. And Zelensky, who had a way out over a month ago, now he's going to lose half the country. Half the country It was never to be Ukraine's anyway. Look at the population. You can't make people change their heritage. You can't make them change their customs. You can't make them change their languages. It's why we went for World War II to begin with. Who is the Axis power now today? Well, I can tell you, number one is Justin Trudeau. Boris Johnson, he's leaning there. And old dirty Joe Biden absolutely wants to go there. He wants to turn USA into the United States of America. He wants the filibuster gone. He wants to remove Senate democracy. He would love to be exactly like Justin Trudeau. I would like the power of all Senate to appoint all the senators, have them sworn to me, tell me I'm a god. That's what they have to do. This isn't fake, folks. Read the oaths of all your public service representatives and what they swear. Read the oath of a senator. Can't become a senator if you don't swear it. Can't even become a lawyer if you don't swear that oath. There's variation versions, but it's all to give the God power. Backdoor deal through Governor General to your Prime Minister. All the premiers have their lieutenant governors in place. They honor the Prime Minister. Prime Minister honors the premier. You, the people, are the biggest losers. You don't draft laws. You don't get to be involved. They call it polls, limited population, handpicked. It's a scam. It's a scam. People are too busy in the slave conditions, working just as hard as they possibly can. They have no time. Constitutions exist so the people are free to go about their lives in all those protections. That was the monumental work of the United States. And it was great for many, many, many generations. The problem is the founding fathers never suspected in their wildest dreams that anyone would take a presidency and want to bring the crown back to life or completely transform America. But it's happening. They call it the name of environmentalism, the name of this, that. But the reality is they're trying to remove all real democracy, real protections, real federalism that keeps giant countries like the United States so powerful, that allows multiple regions to work together, trade together, grow strong off each other. And America's very strong. And you know who else is like that? Russia. Russia's tremendously strong in federalism. Regardless of people's view of the federal autocracy, there's a whole regional side, a half the power transfer. Always been there. Nobody ever tells you that stuff because they don't want you to know. They don't. It doesn't go with the propaganda. I'm not saying Putin's a hero or not. I don't like civil law socialism. I hate communism. It's not something I would want to be in. But I don't like the crown either. I like the American model the best. That's just me personally. I think every Canadian needs to be educated in all of these aspects. And every Canadian over the age of 18 should be in constitutional conventions. It should be in every community, every reserve right across Canada by the world's greatest minds. I said about this work a number of years ago. I toured the entire world collecting said individuals, the greatest legal minds in constitutionalism in the entire world. I have them all in every minority language that Canada has. From Spanish to Korean to Mongolian, I got them all. Ukrainian, Polish, I got them all. Everywhere you can think of. Africa, I have many, many dialects from Africa. Greatest minds from a multitude of countries. Very, very well done. All through Asia, I even have a Chinese academic. At least just one. One's better than none. 2 Russians, 2's better than none. Many, many Americans, of course, but I have them all over Europe, all over Southeast Asia. I'm in Singapore on another presentation here in less than 2 weeks' time. A big Zoom, a big sitting. It's going to be great. Going to learn all about more countries I haven't talked to before. So fingers crossed, I land myself a couple more academics. The work's ready. It's ready for all of you Canadians to learn the world as it is, and you decide, should we elect somebody or a party to bring that forward? I can promise you no premier wants to see that regionally. No, no, no. Don't take away my power. Absolutely, the federal government will never give away their customary crown law, empowering them to be the most powerful dictators in the world today. A system The UN promised to abolish, at least Russia, China, and USA did. It's why there was a Yalta conference. They all agreed to it. But here we are. And as long as the rest of the world, like countries in that system of power, crown, and absolute belief that they were born of God to be gods over you, that's a delusion of grandeur. That is the highest level of narcissism, psychotic you can get to when you look at the psychology of it. But yet, that is celebrated in Canada, and that rules over you with an iron fist. You constantly refer to it as communism, but that's not what it is. Class structure is crown. It's the idea that you're a god over men and women. You even have those honorary titles for that. You don't hear it publicly. You hear honorable honor. The honor's honor. But when you look in private doors, what that represents, worship, Lord, God, eminence, excellence, it goes on and on. Sick, disgusting. I watched a video of a municipality, the one I grew up in, where the police chief, the commissioner, refers to the mayor as worship more than 50 times in their presentation. Your worship, your worship. Canadians, how long saying those kind of words to another fellow human being until you start to believe it? How long until the person hearing it starts to believe it? If you're being called the Lord, and you wear royal robes, and you got a giant chair and you stand before there and everybody has to refer to you in that manner, how many days at work before your head is the size of the moon? And you truly believe that you are a supreme human being brought by God to rule over men and women. You see how it corrupts so fast? You see how the power, the mentality, they wear the royal robes, the gold scepters, the decoration, and of course they vote on their salaries arbitrarily, regardless of how the people are doing. Off with their head. It's happened. You can look at all the royal families all over the world in history till the peasants rise up, but it's always after no shoes, empty bellies, children dying, mothers losing it, and fathers going right lunatic, and then they go headhunting. It will come. It will come. I don't want to be there for it personally. Not in 2022. I can't believe we, the Canadian people, are allowing this. Third largest amount of resources in the ground to change all this, but yet, and the massive production, you think at least domestically we should be at what, 40 cents a liter? But no, not your wealthy oligarchs. Your wealthy first-class politicians couldn't have that. The sanctions are for Russian oligarchs so that Western and European oligarchs can get mighty, be the first world trillionaires since Age of Empires. Meanwhile, all of you learn to live with shit. Empty bellies, cold nights, worry about your children more than you ever have had to before. It's sick, it's depraved, it's lunatic. Who's the real monster here, folks? The Russian people are nowhere near suffering like we are here in Canada, who isn't even in Europe. Can you fathom that? It's our Constitution and us giving up our sovereignty to a foreign national. That's what we do, the royal family and all of the UK. It's named, it's written, and so our autocrat politicians, our first-class politician dictators, make it so. That's the law in Canada. You're all garbage, and worse than garbage slave is the savage Indian. That is Canada forever and a day. Read your Constitution, learn the truth. Learn the truth that what you're being told and what is are two very different things. And if you don't believe me, go look at the United States of America. Mandated. Don't say the word war. Don't say invasion. It is a territorial dispute. And the winner of the said territory is Russia. I can tell you how this is going to go. I've been telling you the whole time, and you're going to watch it. There isn't going to be a World War III. USA is going to bite the bullet. Sure, they hate Russia. Americans and Russians hate each other. I did a poll on this. I learned real Russians, real Americans, they hate each other. The Cold War's not gone. And now you got the UK propagating that, Justin Trudeau propagating that, so that he can create wealthy oligarchs for his foreign royal family that gives him his crown, his power over all of you again, the listed and narrated slave, low-life, third-class citizens, and the savage Indians who are to be eradicated. This has never changed. It will always be and is Canada until you absolutely dismember and redesign your constitution. Make them accountable to you. And you can end up like a Russia, even in the worst of worst times. You, the people, won't feel the damage, and why should you? You own the resources, right? How is it Albertans who own the resources are paying $1.82 a litre today? What? Russia isn't, and they don't have nowhere near per person per capita those oil resources that you Canadians have, especially Albertans. Explain it to me, because there's no other nation besides the destructed Venezuela. And who did that? Oh yeah, same oligarchs. Socialism doesn't work. You can call it crown, you can call it communism. Crown, communism doesn't really matter. One is a lord of people over people. Another one is one class over an entire one-size-fits-all class, where you can have a supreme first class, two-tier being the third-class slave, the working Joe Janes. I don't know. I don't like communism, but I hate that system more. That's my video. Share if you know the truth. Share because it's the right thing to do. Share because people need to learn this stuff. Don't be swept up in American dollar. American dollar is absolutely everything that Canada is. It has to be. That's our only supply chain and everything we trade in the world. Look at our oil, all in American dollar. The pains we experience are because we're not an American citizen. You're not. Valued trading partner, it's our only real trading partner. 90% north and south. We can't even interprovincially trade. We don't. Why is that? Because we're in a crown system. Pure provincial dictators who fight each other. We're not a country, not a functioning good country. We're an evil, diseased, central state. Highly socialist underneath crown customary law. The slaves will be whipped, beaten, and do as the first class says. Their raises go up. Oh, inflation's this much. Do you think they care? Their raises went up more than the inflation. What pinch? What hurts? I don't feel anything. What are you talking about? Meanwhile, your wages don't move, or they go down, or you went through a battery of cuts in the last couple of years, and then they double your cost of living to finance a war, an economic war, in a far-off land for a far-off ruling elite. It is what came with the War of Independence. America said, we're not doing it no more. The Canadians are like, do it more, please. Watch as I bend over, pull my pants down, handcuff my wrists to my ankles, and say, oh, please, don't sexually assault me. Well, you handcuffed yourself to your ankles and your pants are around your ankle. What do you think's going to happen? That's Canada. It's sick, it's depraved, it's lunatic, it's institutionalization. It's the craft of your politicians over all of you. They think they're superior. They're the racists. They always have been. They've genocided on many levels, many times throughout our most recent history here in Canada. And still today, the First Peoples experience it lock, stock, and barrel. That's my video. Share. Get the message out. It's the truth. Bye now.